Book of Enoch, and it's one of the wildest things I've ever listened to in my life. Oh my God, it's so weird that a lot of the people in the Book of Enoch are also in the Bible, and that it's one of the craziest stories. It's one of the craziest origin stories ever, and made giants.
Right.
The giants destroyed the earth. Like, what is this story?
It's mostly in the Hebrew Bible. You know, it's the story of what led to the flood.
How do you interpret the Watchers? What do you think that could be?
I think, they're not mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. They are mentioned in the Book of Enoch.
Joe Rogan has Rick Strassman on his show, and he talks about how he's been reading the Book of Enoch, and I think it's fascinating. I'm going to be giving my commentary all the way through because this is a lot of fun. Here we go.
The audiobook of the Book of Enoch, and it's one of the wildest things I've ever listened to in my life.
It's weird.
Oh my God, it's so weird. When you realize that a lot of the people in the Book of Enoch are also in the Bible, and that it's one of the craziest stories. It's one of the craziest origin stories ever, that angels came down and bred with humans and made giants.
Right.
The giants destroyed the earth. Like, what is this story?
It's mostly in the Hebrew Bible. You know, it's the story of what led to the flood. Yeah, the sons of Elohim.
What a strange concept, that angels came down and bred with humans.
It's a very weird idea. There's different ways to look at translating B'nai Elohim. You know, it might be, the first word, B'nai, means the sons of. So it kind of revolves on what's the meaning of Elohim. So it could be God with a big G, could be God with a small g, could be angels, could be dignitaries in a government, like judges.
The thing is, I don't think there's any grounds basis for that claim for them to be just like mighty men or like judges or people that were put on this earth, because you don't see that anywhere else in the Bible. They use this word Elohim for any spiritual deity. Like in Psalms 82, it talks about in the council of the gods, and God brought the council of the gods together, and he said they would die like men. Like, there's two different words there. He said these Elohim will die like men. Well, that means they're not men, you know? Some simple stuff like that.
Yeah, so, the less far out kind of interpretation of that phrase or that term is, the sons of the mighty, the sons of the judges, the sons of the renowned people, as opposed to the sons of angels or the sons of God.
You can say that, but that's not what the text is saying, though. I think that's clear. Like, we don't know what necessarily that means, but that's not what the text is saying, in my opinion.
How do you interpret the Watchers? What do you think that could be?
I think, they're not mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. They are mentioned in the Book of Enoch. That's a crazy book, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I started reading it, and I said to my wife, I can't handle this. It's too much.
It's because if that was left in the Bible, if they decided that that was like a part of the canon, that would change everything.
Well, in what way?
It's the craziest story ever. That these things came down.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think it would change very much, because it's just a further writing during the time of Noah or before Noah. But those things are still in the Old Testament. Jesus still died on the cross for his sins. I think you can understand that and be like, well, actually, it's pretty much the same.
And bred with humans and created giants, and the giants destroyed and consumed everything.
Yeah, those giants.
And consumed each other. Like,
yeah, bloodshed.
What kind of kooky story is this? Like, what is this?
Well, it's the reason for the flood,
Right.
and all that. Yeah. Things just got so bad, God said, I changed my mind. And he brings the flood.
It's like the further you go back, the crazier the story gets.
If you want to look at it like this from the Enoch's perspective, it was God looking down and seeing that there's evil completely all in the world. and the sons of God are spreading their gene pool, making these Nephilim creatures, these hybrid human beings that are not made in the image of God. And God has seen that this is completely evil, but he sees Noah. He sees Noah as this pure human being. He was righteous in all of his ways. He was not messed up by the Nephilim or the sons of God. He was still pure. And that's why he decided to save Noah. That's one of the claims, to get rid of the Nephilim.
I know. Well, the Book of Enoch was written maybe 125 BCE. So it's pretty old. But some of the stories that originate, or that the origination of some of the stories in the Hebrew Bible go back, 10,000 years perhaps.
Wow.
I feel like Joe Rogan missed that. I feel like he didn't understand that. We believe that the Hebrew text is older than the Book of Enoch, just based off of evidence. Like, you could say, well, maybe the Book of Enoch was written way earlier, but we don't have any proof. The oldest fragments of the Book of Enoch we have is dated probably around 300 BC. Okay? But there are some other stuff that we think of the Hebrew Bible could be a lot older.
To be a fly on the wall 10,000 years ago, to go, what were you guys writing down? What really happened?
What really happened? Well, I mean,
it seems like for sure something happened.
What?
Well, whatever the whole Jesus Christ thing was, it seems like that was a real event.
Right, as opposed to the flood.
The flood seems like a real event too. Don't you think the flood was a real event?
What about, let's see.
I think the flood was the Younger Dryas impact. I think
It's funny. So he's believing in all these miracles. And if you can believe that God created the entire universe, you can easily believe in any of those miracles in the Bible. That's a fact.
likely, obviously. I don't know what I'm talking about, but my inclination is to believe guys like Randall Carlson, because it's a very compelling narrative. Like, what he's saying is, we pass through a comet storm. It happens this particular time every year. And there's been times in history where we've been hit. And it's very likely that this time period, this Younger Dryas impact time period, that could have been the end of whatever civilization existed at the time. And what we are is a rebuilding of it. Mm-hmm. We just kind of forgot about it. And it doesn't make sense that you could forget, like, how they built the pyramids, but they did. Like, it seems like there was really advanced people at one point in time.
Yeah.
Something horrible happened, and then it took a while for people to bounce back. And we're the direct linear progression of the people like from Mesopotamia and Iraq and all that. That's us now. But before that, there was probably something really wild.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the text's description of the generations from Adam to Noah, what civilization was like between the beginning and the time of the end. Yeah, I mean, it became filled with violence. And, God just, said, forget it. Yeah, so that's one way of looking at the Younger Dryas, I suppose. This is what it looks like when God changes his mind.
Sure. That also could have been like the Yucatan impact, right? God's like, we can't get anywhere with these fucking dinosaurs everywhere. Just boom.
Yeah.
But he got tired of lizards running the world for he maybe gave it a couple 100 million years. Figure it out, guys. Mm-hmm. And then they have to reset.
Yeah, but what comes after us, I wonder, in 200 million years?
I think it's most likely digital.
Yeah.
I think we're transferring what the idea of what a life form is. What does a life form do? We want to think that it has to be just like us. And I don't think necessarily that's true. I think we might be giving birth to something we didn't anticipate would be a life.
That's such a crazy idea, but a very big possibility of transhumanism is another attempt, I think, just like the Nephilim, just like the sons of God, it's another attempt to make human being hybrids. That's what it seems like. There's going to be part human, part AI, transhumanism, whatever that means. Crazy stuff.
Stapleton, and he talks about 19 species of man. And this is the first one. The story spans 2 billion years. It's this huge story.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's mostly through genetic engineering. Make people bigger, smarter, like brains that occupy a football field. That's one of the species
Whoa.
of man. Yeah, so his thought is that it occurs biologically, through genetic manipulation.
Just over time, naturally?
After a while, it gets steered. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, it's all basically based on what people are, what people want. So there's one species that instead of love as kind of the core valued feeling, they have hate
Sounds like the Nephilim.
as their core value feeling.
They just can't wait to hate.
Yeah. And that's one of the species that kind of goes through
Wow.
a period of, rise and then decline, obviously. It just couldn't sustain itself.
Wow.
Well, you got to wonder, like, how long this is, if AI really is a thing, it really is a life, we've got to make a compelling argument why AI is bad and we are good.
Yeah.
Because if people say, if you really want to be ethical and moral, this is a horrible take, but if you really want to be ethical and moral, you'd be like, people are like uniquely terrible. Like, if we just gave in and became digital life, we could ensure there'd be no more suffering.
How can you know that?
Yeah.
You can't. You can't.
There could be totally suffering in a totally different way,
No vaccine is safe and effective. You can't.
You just have to try it.
You got to try it.
And see what happens.
I think a bunch of people try it. I don't know how much further like biological people can go while we're making digital people that are way better than us at basically everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's too far away from being a reality.
That's crazy.
The way I try to follow it is through a biblical lens.
Really?
Yeah, like, how does
What
this...
chapter are we in right now?
Yeah, well, good question. You read the prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. They just rage against the machine. So I think it goes pretty far back.
I mean,
Damn.
Yeah, so what's good and bad? What's right and wrong?
Ezekiel, Jeremiah were not really talking about the machine. They're talking about the people of Israel not repenting. Well, Jeremiah was talking about the people not repenting and that they would go into exile in Babylon. And then they did. Jeremiah was warning them about the coming destruction. And then they had other prophets say, nah, that's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And he believed the good people, the guys spreading the good news, not the bad news.
Beside that, that's what I like about the Bible. I mean, obviously, I can make up my own mind about things, but it's nice having that kind of an option, that kind of a tradition to refer to when deciding what's good and bad. What you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be over 600, they're translated as commandments in the Hebrew Bible, but and those are what you do to live happily and attain a spiritual state close to God, prophetic, a state of prophecy. If it's a certain description of the world and how to interact with it, which is intended to have certain effects and discourage other, decisions. So this is good, this is bad, in terms of this will increase things in your life that are good, and this will decrease them. So it's a very interesting description of cause and effect. That's the way I see those so-called commandments. They're more of a description of how things are run. If you do this, then that'll happen. If you do this, then that'll happen.
Do you think that they were directly given to us by a god, or do you think that this is just the memories of how to keep society together that they have just eventually written down?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Does it come from outside of you or from inside of you?
Right.
Yeah. If it's available inside of you, but hidden away, then prophecy, or really, getting it correctly according to the text, would just be an uncovering or a stimulation of what's already inside of you, as opposed to,
It's you can achieve some sort of a state.
It's information latent. Could be in the DNA or whatnot, or it comes down from from a higher source.
From God. Those things I would say come from God for a reason, for a purpose, so that you can have a very blessed life, a fulfilling life, a life that is honoring and pleasing to God.
But so like when you're interpreting stories in the Bible, like Moses and the Ten Commandments, how are you, like, are you imagining this event happening, or are you imagining what were they trying to record? Like, what were they trying to remember? Because it seems like by the time they're writing it down, it's quite a bit after the actual event. For the most part,
For
right?
the most part, yeah.
So, what do you think they were? What do you think they were actually describing?
Well, we talked about this briefly last time I was here. Was this, if I believed in the reality of the Hebrew Bible, like, did those things really happen?
Right.
Yeah. And I said, well, it's a really consistent worldview, and so on. And I thought about it some more, and I started thinking about it as well. I was starting to think about it as comparable to the DMT state. When you're in the DMT state, it's just there, and it's very consistent, very real. Certain things happen there. And so I think the early version, I think what happened early on in the account of the Hebrew Bible was like the DMT world. It was a parallel level of reality which was happening. And then slowly it began to you began to segue into this reality. For example, the destruction of the first temple, of the second temple, David's reign, Solomon's reign, the kings after them, the division of the land into, two countries. That is historical. But before that, it was also historical, but it was occurring at a completely different, independent level of reality. Does that make any sense?
He's trying to say that there was a different realm, like a spiritual realm. Could be a possibility of these things happening in the spiritual realm. Like some things, obviously, like the Council of the Gods. But they use the DMT explanation is kind of weird. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's a cool way to look at answering the question, how much of this is real, especially from early on.
I see what you're saying, but it's just... it's always like, it seems like an interpretation of what happened. Like, what were these original events? Like, what was Adam and Eve? What was that? What was the Garden of Eden? There's so many of these stories where I would be fascinated to be there the day the dude wrote it down. Like, what were you guys? What were you talking about for hundreds of years before you wrote this down? Like, tell me what the stories were. How did they go?
Well, my way of dealing with those stories is to just take them at face value. Here's Adam, here's Eve, here's a garden. There's two trees that are, very important. It's beautiful. Yeah, and then there was a serpent, spoke to Eve, took the apple, ate it, gave it to Adam. Yeah, and then out of the garden. Well, lots of...
That's very interesting. Take it at face value. Believe that it happened. Why not? And who won it? I think he's just trying to figure out, could this possibly be how it actually happened, or is there something else going on? And I get the questions 100%. But at one point, you got to believe that Jesus was a historical person. He is who he said he was. And that's all you can really do. Anyway, guys, I really hope that Joe Rogan completely surrenders his life to Jesus, gets to know him more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. And always remember, guys, Jesus loves you.